Hi Barbie! It's me, your good time gal pal that you only ever meet up with on weeknights on a monthly basis, share a bottle or two, and regret seeing her the next day, and yet you still do it to yourself every time. This week, I'm partial to a nice rosé, a little fruity if you don't mind, because this week it's all pink, 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 darling. July 21st, 2023, a date that will go down in history as the day cinema was saved. Greta Gerwig and Christopher Nolan, with their conflicting aesthetics, filmmaking strategy, and concepts, worked together to show the full spectrum of filmmaking, turning blockbusters into true visual storytelling and bringing it to the masses. I want to talk about Barbie today. I've been a Barbie girl, I'm still a bit of a Barbie girl, and this has been one of my most anticipated movies of 2023. Every little tidbit we got, from Greta Gerwig, who's done some excellent movies, to the casting choices, yes, Ryan Gosling, bleach your hair, to the marketing and licensing. Let's pour one out for the licensing team at Mattel, who must have worked round the clock to secure deals and collabs and really bring forth Barbie Pink into everyone's everyday.
One for me, and one for my homie.
Barbie for the last year has been inescapable. Now that is how you build hype. And with that much hype, expectations are high. It can be a double-edged sword that way. You get bums on seats, but do you get good reviews? And mostly, yes, and it is well deserved too. The only downs I've seen come from the right-wing propaganda machine that profit off of men being stuck in a patriarchal cycle of unrealistic expectations of stoicism to body type to arrested emotional development. You know, the cycle that makes men like Ben Shapiro richer than you ever will be, which I thought was intriguing because when I left that cinema, my thoughts were on Ken and how every little boy I saw in the theatre was lucky to have Ken and to have his story played out in a summer bonanza film. More than I was about the Barbie girl aesthetic, vibe, or message, although I will get to that. Maybe ironically, Ryan Gosling as Ken stole the show for Barbie. He really excelled, and you can tell that he was having such a good time. He went from my least favourite Ryan, possibly, to potentially at the top in terms of his range. I never knew that he had the comedic chops. Comment down below your most favourite Ryan. My ultimate number one, if I'm being really honest, is Meg Ryan. There was not a moment in the whole film where I wasn't having a good time, laughing or nodding along, giggling, and it surprised me because how could anything live up to the hype it created? To the trailer where the best bits are always shown. And I think that is something to give to the entire production team. There was not a moment that felt weaker than the rest. Everything was consistent. The attention to detail from the set pieces to Margot Robbie's doll acting to hair and makeup was exquisite. But I don't even think CinemaSins can fault it, though I can't wait to see Jeremy try. The direction throughout was consistent. Greta Gerwig knew what she wanted to say and she said it. How it landed is up to the individual, and this individual thought it landed well. All in all, this film is a comedic love letter and potential analysis of the entire concept of Barbie. It's a thank you note to the women who came before us. It's a letter of hope to those who will come after. It's a letter of solidarity to the boys who feel trapped under the patriarchy. And it's a nostalgic look at growing up a girl in this not so Barbie world. It's an I'm sorry, and it's a it'll get better, and a be your best fruity selves, all wrapped into one sparkly 2-hour gem of a good time. John Cena is in Barbie, he's a merman, and you know what? That's so perfect for him. I'm glad that he's having a good time. Never change, John. Will Ferrell is in this too. This film took actors that I didn't rate and or particularly like and made me enjoy their performances. It really goes to show the power of good directing, in my opinion, and how it can change a performance. If your director knows what they want and knows how to get it out of you, knows how to make your style fit into their vision, it's a match made in heaven. Good actors in badly directed films can be tipped as bad actors and vice versa. I personally can't name one movie of Will Ferrell's that I enjoyed or ever wanted to rewatch. I don't even like Elf. I know, I'm a Scrooge. Oh, wait. No, the Lego movie. Okay, I like one role of Will Ferrell's. His President Business was the business. But in this, he was actively funny. His performance, while the role was ludicrous, his performance was believable, showing skill and comedy chops that I'd perhaps missed in his other roles. Kate McKinnon got to show off her ability as a comic too, in a feminist blockbuster that didn't destroy any remaining goodwill people might have had for women in comedy. She really shone as Weird Barbie. Just the way this woman reacts on her face was enough to have me howling in my seat. And America Ferrara. Honestly, anything this lady is in is something I will watch. I grew up on Ugly Betty, so she's always been an icon to me. If there was ever a biopic of me, and hey, there's enough material, I would want America to play me, and she would win an Oscar for it. And this movie, I mean, she just really ate. And it helps that she has one of the best movie monologues in this modern age, or, at least this year, to properly describe how it feels to be a woman. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach truly ate with this script. Jane Austen can pass along the title for author of most relatable feminine heroines. I am eagerly awaiting for when Greta decides she wants to write fiction books. For copyright reasons, I can't play the clip, but I can read it in my drunken northern way. It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like, we always have to be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin, and you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but you can't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also always be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women, because you're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful, but never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard, it's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all of that is also true for a doll just representing women, then I don't even know. And it gives me chills. Now imagine it acted well with all the bells and whistles of a multitude of artists packaging it perfectly. Isn't this such a perfect and concise write-up of womanhood? And by womanhood, I don't mean necessarily just those with vaginas. You're included too if you relate to the speech. Barbie doesn't have a vagina, after all. Michael Cera as Alan, honestly, this should win him Best Supporting Actor, or at least a nomination. And wouldn't it be hilarious if both he and Robert Downey Jr. were nominated? Show us the range, Academy. To me, this was the most likable he's been in since season 1 of Arrested Development, and it was perfect casting. Alan is like a dude who's just sort of stuck in Barbie land and absolutely one of the girls. You all have a friend like that, and if you think you don't, you're the Alan, and that means I love you. I hope you're having a nice day. Speaking of Best Supporting Actor, Ryan Gosling, man. Like I said earlier, he absolutely stole the show for sure, which is honestly incredible considering how perfect Margot Robbie is for Barbie. So I don't even know if you can class him as a supporting actor. Margot Robbie was outstanding, don't get me wrong. Her physical ability has never been a secret, but it truly is something else in Barbie. The way she moves, especially at the start when she is in Barbie land, is so reminiscent of the actual doll that I worry that her muscles are still stiff to this day. Honestly, excellent. 10 years since her debut in Wolf of Wall Street, and she hasn't disappointed yet. Not only does she look like Barbie, move like Barbie, but she exudes the fun and childlike awe being Barbie. Margot committed to the role, and not in a Jared Leto Joker way, but in a way that never lets us forget that she's human. Honestly, a very humbling performance with several layers of nuance for a summer blockbuster comedy about a 60-year-old doll, which isn't necessarily how I would describe this movie though. Yeah, you guessed it, your gal is gonna get into the politics. Let me just take a huge sip of wine to brace myself. People saying Barbie is too political, but then go to watch Oppenheimer instead. Bestie, you need a reality check, honestly. The most common negative response has been, this movie makes fun of men. This movie is anti-man. This movie is woke bullshit. Look, this is a simple primer on third-wave feminism aimed at a younger audience. Is it subtle? Not at all. Is it anti-man? Only if you're an alpha man who think women just need to look pretty and shave their arms and not have jobs or degrees. Is that you? Well, this movie was for you too. The thing is, this is very, very, very visible overtones. The too on the nose of it all, the almost so exaggerated instances of patriarchal behavior isn't to hammer home the fact that women are better than men. No, it actually serves two purposes. The first being that the plot unfolds to show that actually in Barbie Land, okay, maybe the Kens are a secondary social class, the way women or people who identify as women or are perceived as women are in the real world, shows that you can't get true equality without a bit of give and take, that one social class having superiority over the other isn't equality, and that it takes work and time and people pushing to get there to achieve that. And secondly, to really serve the story, this movie is a comedy. It was billed as a comedy. It's never pretended to be anything but a comedy. The characters, inclusive of Robbie's stereotypical Barbie, are stereotypes. One that you can pick and say, oh yeah, relate to some aspect or other. They are all over the top. If the message was subtle, the characters wouldn't work. The sets wouldn't work. The costume and makeup wouldn't work. The actual premise wouldn't work. Because at the end of the day, this is a Barbie movie, and when has anything Barbie been subtle? The doll characters are completely detached from reality, and this is what kicks off the plot when reality starts bleeding into Barbie Land. Missing this means you miss the entire premise. Everything has to be spelled out to 100 because the characters are so detached and the plot is completely unhinged. These dolls are what Mattel has said in their PR over the last 50 years. Women who worked hard and proved that girls can be anything and everything. A super vet that goes to space, a black female president in all pink spurs and pink cowboy hat. You go, girl. Is that anti-man? Is it anti-man that the male character, feeling displeased with his lot, with his, dare I say, oppression, or at least disregard for him as a person due to his status as a Ken in Barbie Land, sees a world done differently and sets off a chain of events so unhinged that it's almost true? Is it anti-man that this character, who has never heard of the patriarchy, will only therefore perform the most highline Tumblr girl version of it? Men just want girls to pour their drinks and look at them simperingly. But this is what Ken takes away from it. Is it anti-man to explore the dangers of men and boys who are drifting, feel purposeless, powerless, and have no identity beyond the women they want to be, getting indoctrinated into alt-right rhetoric, thinking they are reclaiming their personhood but actually causing harm to a large subset of people and themselves? Is it anti-man to explore the idea that men need love and support and strong, fulfilling relationships of all kinds, the right and ability to explore who they are and be told that they too can achieve their dreams? Is it anti-men for the Barbies who have had 60 years of development, of consistently being updated and modernized to use the Ken's ignorance due to the lack of the same development to instill an intense battle between the boys by exploiting the facets of patriarchy that are stereotypical and hilarious to bring back the status quo? The status quo, now that is anti-men, but only because, unlike the Barbies, they've never had the chance to get updated, to form an identity, a message, and a mission, unlike Barbie's feminine positivity. By the end, though, this is established. It's understood that the status quo has to change, and the Barbies say as much to Will Ferrell, the face of Mattel. And Ken discovers his value, his self-worth, and is on the path to forging his own identity outside of Barbie and beyond the pressure of performing hypermasculinity that he picked up in the real world. It's a similar journey to what many women know over the course of our lives, especially common in our young 20s, and apparently it happens again and again in our 30s and then later in our 50s. Looking forward to those milestones. Giving this opportunity to the male character in a film about the leading lady learning to become human is a ballsy, gutsy move, and to me really set the intention. Equality isn't one over the other, but we do and will always have to acknowledge the different journeys one has to take and the opportunities one has to take them. Not to sound like the diversity and inclusion manager in your office, but it really is equity, not equality, and making the society that you want to exist in, not what someone tells you you should exist in. This film is so pro-man, it's almost a woman. Come on now, the redemption of Ken, the loving embrace in which the isolation of manhood, the pressure to perform a certain set of behaviors and then be told you're more than that and we're sorry you don't feel that way. is that really anti-man? Because when I say the world is anti-woman, I don't mean any of the prior at all with the genders flipped. This film is so creative in all aspects, it's so secure in its message that it never wavers, so unapologetically what it is. A silly romp that is supposed to inspire the viewer, no matter the gender, to look inwards and then outwards, to do the work to heal, to grow, to find who you are, and to understand you're more than gender as a social class. You do that, and the world is already a little bit better, one Ken at a time. When people say men, they mean the social class, not you as a man individually, and it's the same here. Did I leave thinking this film was a masterpiece, a piece of prestigious cinema? No, but that's fine, because it wasn't supposed to be. It's meant to be an experimental, inventive, colourful comedy, using relatable facets of society and exaggerating them for laughs, while inspiring members of the audience to work on their personal journeys if they want to. It's up there for me with Mean Girls, Jennifer's Body, Something Great, and How to Be Single for me. My pink Prosecco night self-care evening films where I want to feel optimistic and fun and whimsical with a small dose of reality. I left Oppenheimer feeling that it was a true masterpiece, something that would be shown in schools, and that's because it truly was a magnum opus and by my favourite director of all time, not an academic's wet dream on the social impact of Barbie, who for a doll has the joy of being the most problematic, multifaceted piece of plastic to ever exist in the last 50 years. Maybe we can look at the Bratz movies another time. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with my analysis? Did you leave the cinema feeling a different kind of way? Let's keep it respectful and kind to each other though, like Barbie would have wanted.